This show contains adult-orientated content.
You're listening to Smegcast with Matt, Gary and Devon.
We're talking about aliens today.
Yes.
I've kind of just given the subject away.
You have a bit.
Okay. But I was thinking, why are we talking about aliens? And because aliens, they come across as weird and unusual when there's so much in this room that could be discussed instead.
It's true. There's
and
a lot.
also outside this room.
True.
Like every day and,
Yeah, true. We're definitely extending our scope today in somewhat as well. I mean,
there's a lot of mentalists.
There's 100 podcasts with Devon on his own. I mean,
that's true.
It's just
In a
hard
room.
nut to crack.
Devon will be a brand soon.
Yeah.
It will be, actually. I think you're going to be
Registered trademark.
Proprietary
Yeah.
limited.
Yeah.
That's you're not quite real, Devon. I think that's what we're saying.
Say, slice of Devon, anyone?
It's great because there's actually Devon the meat from the deli.
I'll just pretend I'm like some entrepreneur. I've got my own like Devonport. I've got my own tea, Devonshire tea.
How do you come up with this?
I could see Devon working
Come
for
up with
Trump.
this.
He would
You
fit
could.
in.
You would.
He would fit in like.
You would be like a special advisor. You got to give it to Trump. Just as soon as you think it's just gotten as bad as it can possibly get, it gets worse. It's amazing how this guy manages to fuck up things even more than they were before. Unbelievable.
I told you about the House of Cards, one of my favourite shows. They won't make any more episodes
Well, it can't.
because it's too exaggerated
Exactly.
now. They've
Yeah.
actually, I read an article where they brought in like 100 writers to try and make the new season because it hasn't finished. You watched the last season.
Yeah.
There's a continuation
Yeah.
waiting to happen. They can't write it because what's happening now is that crazy. They're like, well,
We can't
what can we
actually
do?
exaggerate it anymore. Yeah, you're absolutely right. He's kind of he's actually an exaggerated form of Kevin Spacey's character now. So how do you write a show about kind of subverting whatever the president is supposed to be when you've got a real life president that's subverting it more than it's ever been subverted before? I mean, how do you actually do that? It's kind of like when an interesting thing is when you've got a president that's well liked abroad, that's when they tend to make movies about presidents being heroes in Hollywood movies.
Air Force One.
Like Air Force One. Well, yeah, because Clinton was
one of
well
my
liked
favourite
abroad.
movies.
Yeah, it's true. Air Force One's a great example. So, like, Clinton is a reasonably well liked persona outside of the States. So then they make Air Force One. Independence Day was made during his administration as well. Then you have Bush that comes in. And I don't know if you look closely, but they just thought every script that they had that had a heroic president was canned when Bush was in office. They just were like, we can't make it because this guy is such a baffling idiot that nobody will buy it. Nobody will actually go and see that movie.
But then you've got like Olympus Has Fallen and you've got White House Down and those were presidential.
But when were
ones.
they made though?
But that's Obama.
Like in the last 5
Exactly.
or 6
And
years.
they're
yeah.
black. He's a
Exactly.
black president in
You have
that
to
film.
understand. So then Obama comes in afterwards, and then all those screenplays that had all those presidents in them that were heroic, like Olympus Has Fallen, White House Down, there's another one. They're all made during the Obama administration because he's one of the most respected presidents abroad. Because they know people in different countries don't see him as an idiot. Some people may think he is, but they don't see him as that typically. And then they make those movies.
He's well educated and he's not
Exactly.
a broke.
He's a great speaker and he's quite charismatic on camera. And then, of course, when you make movies about presidents that are heroes, it's much more believable and you buy a ticket for it. But now we're in the Trump world, same things happen again. So they cannot make movies about presidential heroes for the time being.
It feels like, when you have a dream and you wake up and you think, oh, am I still dreaming that or am I awake? That's how I feel about Trump. It's like, am I awake or did he just put that tweet on today?
Yeah.
About, you better not go to the press.
Well, yeah, did you see that tweet that he
Yeah.
did? Yeah, it's crazy. So
I read it today on the train.
So the guy...
I don't know the tweet.
So the head of the FBI... I mean, I'm only explaining this because it is actually interesting. It's absolutely, utterly bizarre. The head of the FBI, he was leading an investigation on Trump's administration that they did illegal things in communicating with Russians during the campaign that manipulated his campaign and got him to win in some respect. So he fires the guy that's investigating him for this, which is crazy, but he can do that. So you're just firing the guy that might take you down or give you a bad name. And then, as you said, because he's the head of the FBI, he is dirt on everyone. So then Trump just tweets, he better not release any secret videos or recordings or there's gonna be trouble. And you're kind of like, he just tweeted that on the internet. I mean, this guy is, how do you make Kevin Spacey? Kevin Spacey looks practically brilliant compared to this guy. I mean, who can compete with the stupidity of something like that?
So when I see Donald Trump, though, like it reminds me of that movie King Ralph.
Yeah.
With
John Goodman?
John Goodman. So I think he was basically an American who they realise, he's got some family in the UK or whatever, and basically he's the next in line to be king or whatever.
Yeah, well, he becomes the king of England as an American guy.
Yeah.
And it's one of those silly kind of fish out of water movies where you take a poor guy in the States who's kind of a bit of a slob, and then you put him in like the most prestigious position in world power.
And that's sort of how I feel Trump is. It just to me he just sort of seems like almost like a comic book character or just something that's not real, really. But it's a great point which you made about House of Cards, because I thought about this because I like House of Cards as well. And then and there was such a great pleasure in watching this character. I was watching the show and I thought, this happens. Maybe not this exaggerated a form of kind of corruption, but there's totally corruption in that level of power all the time. And this show's kind of exaggerating it in a really fun and anti-hero like way. And then now you've got this guy, and he's just like, you could make a show about Trump doing what Trump does, and you would go, I don't believe that. That's actually too exaggerated, but it's actually happening for real. I think he's got a big following of people who like to use the same colour tan, like the same orange tan. So I think pretty much he's got a loyal following of.
I think he's sponsored by a tanning company, actually.
Tahitian Princess or something like that. It's probably called.
He does look odd, like the colouring of his face, like sometimes.
Yeah, orange man.
You see, that's what's sort of funny too. He's got a wife who is so glamorous, so into fashion and stuff.
Right.
And his hair is
and then you look at how he sort of looks. I just don't understand how the two of them
power and
live
it's
together.
money, I think.
And because look, he could wear a fancy suit. He could wear a much better tailored suit or whatever, But
yeah,
I don't know. Then that's maybe just the way he thinks. Maybe he's sort of that typical pig-headed person who probably doesn't even listen to his wife, who has
he was a
good
super aggressive
sense.
businessman, but that's what drove him into a lot of problems and bankruptcy and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So.
Well, when you think about it, like the reason he is there is because because he was so rebellious. Isn't that the whole idea? The whole idea is that he would go on stage and he would, all the formalities of debating would go out the window, and he would just start riffing and being anti-establishment. All these guys in Washington, they're all crooks, right? And that's how he got elected, because everybody looked at them and went, yeah, they're all crooks. I'm going to vote for him. He's right. He's the biggest crook of everyone. I mean, that's what's crazy about the whole thing. He always deflects all the bad stuff onto everyone else, saying Washington's a swamp or whatever it is he constantly says. But then you look at him and you think, this guy, he's like the mafia don. He is the king, and whatever he says goes. And that's why when he just gets up in the morning, if somebody disses him, you're fired.
Do you think
you're right?
Do you think he's super intelligent, or are the people around him more smarter than he is, but won't talk against him? Otherwise, they'll get fired.
I think he's super smart.
I've got a theory about that.
He's smart business.
Smart business, yeah.
But he's not diplomatic. He doesn't know how to deal with the world. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not American, but
yeah. I think his acumen, for what you were saying, like business acumen, is very, very good, because he spent his whole life doing this. He's actually spent so much of his life walking into rooms where he has to negotiate an outcome, and I'd say most of the time, didn't even know what he was really talking about. So he got really, really good at talking about something and talking crap about business on topics that he doesn't know. And he's so good at that now that he can just riff on anything. Do you know what I mean? So he can actually go on stage and talk about healthcare and make it sound like he knows a lot about it, but he doesn't know anything about it. Like, he openly admits that he really doesn't know what's going on. I think he said something hideous in an interview. He said something like, God, this job of being president's much more complicated than I thought it was going to be. And you're like, good Lord, really? I mean, you didn't know this?
It's
going
fine.
on? And he said something else like, because they've been having trouble getting this whole healthcare thing, reappealed. And then he kind of said something like, I thought it would be easier than this. getting this all done.
It's only 130 days.
And it's like, my word, what he's good at is pretending that he knows about something. And he's brilliant at that. Everything else, though, debatable. Isn't it David fucking Icke or something that says everybody's a lizard or some shit like that? And then you look at Trump, you think, oh yeah, he's getting more legitimately believable by the day.
His lip movements are very weird, aren't they?
Yeah, he speaks from like the front of his mouth too. It's like, people, we're gonna make America great again. And he always goes, Putin, we're doing a tremendous job. We're going.
That's really good.
Yeah.
He's been practicing.
Keep going.
He's been practicing.
We're doing a tremendous job. We're going to build a wall. It's going to be incredible. It's going to be absolutely incredible, this wall.
But talking of vegetarianism, Devon would be interested in this.
Right.
'Cause Hitler was vegetarian.
Was he?
And his stools were very nasty. Black.
Isn't that what they call it?
How do you know that?
Yeah, no.
I watched it on the History Channel.
Did they actually
So
have like Stephen
Hitler-
Fry is like going, and Hitler's stools were very nasty?
They were like little rabbit poos.
So
A butt
hang on a
throat.
sec. So you watched a documentary about Hitler on the History Channel, and at some point they thought the most interesting thing to talk about is how Hitler pooed little black nuggets.
Yes.
Is that right?
Because his doctor...
Right.
So the documentary was about his doctor, who was like something out of a movie.
Frankenstein.
He was Frankenstein in terms of medicine and
Right.
because he basically turned.
Well, he drugged
Hitler-
him up all the time,
Yeah, he
didn't
turned into a smackhead. He was putting stuff
Yeah.
in him that should normally that would kill Michael Jackson.
And wasn't Hitler getting like daily injections like every day to
he was
keep
getting
him
pure
going?
cocaine.
Yeah,
he was
yeah.
getting.
And wasn't his girlfriend a nurse? Was it Fraulein Brown or whatever her name was? Wasn't she a nurse? Like a nurse? Or something?
Only at night.
Yeah, just in the
During the day, though, no nurse.
just those special outfits, those.
Yeah,
little,
it's like it's only 12 o'clock. Get that off,
Well, Hitler's. I've actually written this down because I was.
Right.
Can I say the A word?
So hang on. You've written in this book that Hitler shat nuggets. Is that something you wrote down?
Because we were talking about aliens today.
Correct.
And I'm like, why are we talking about aliens when we should talk about the freaks on planet Earth?
True.
And Hitler was one of them because he used to get his missus to wee in his face.
Right.
So the old golden shower.
The golden
Yes,
shower.
the golden shower.
Now, because I watched another documentary where
About golden showers?
about the Nazis, they had some kind of connection with aliens.
Right.
Right? They actually found, believe this or not, they
Oh, yeah.
actually found a place in I think it was Austria,
Right.
where they were building like a UFO.
Right.
So they had like 8 big massive metal poles stuck in the ground in a forest somewhere, and it was all plugged up to electricity.
Right.
And they were basically using like a magnetic force to float objects.
So it was kind of like a type of aviation they were trying to do. Is that right?
Yeah.
Like to try, because I mean, that's the fun thing about Nazis is that every time you look them up, there's always something more bizarre buried in their history somewhere.
Yeah.
So they were trying to build
I
something
should
that
look
was
him
like,
up. I should look into it.
Yeah, you should,
It's actually real.
yeah.
But I find the fact that he was doing that every Friday night more interesting because that's more weird.
Yeah.
Do you think that like he would come home on a Friday, Eva Braun would just start peeing on his face, and then she'd be like, "How was your day?" And he's like, "Yeah, the flying saucer's coming along quite." But aliens, yeah. So you were watching the documentary on Nazis, and they were building an aircraft.
Yeah, like a UFO.
A UFO, like. So did
When-
I mean, where did they get with this?
Yeah.
I imagine it failed, right?
Well, unfortunately for them, the war was not going the right way.
Yep, that's true.
And so they ran out of time. But they found it. They found drawings and stuff. And
Like, when did they get the idea to build a random...
they
I
started, I
UFO
think it was
type-
1941.
When did they cite a UFO to think, let's try and build one?
Well,
'Cause
actually, and just to
fucking alien
clarify,
built
because
it.
the modern world of UFOs, I think, because Roswell was in 47. Obviously, the Nazis were done by then. So, like, the modern phenomena of UFOs and flying objects all came after the Nazis were there. But I know what you mean. It sounded like they were trying to build some sort of aviation device that hovered or something like that,
You know
right?
what it would have looked
Yeah, yeah.
like based on all German vehicles in that time? It either would have looked like a Porsche, which eventually was designed to be like a Volkswagen Beetle.
Right.
It just would have been basically like a large Volkswagen Beetle. Really, honestly, engine in the back.
Because that would win the war, wouldn't it? Send them over.
Yeah, holy shit, like Volkswagen Beetles coming in.
I mean, that's the thing. You think like
He must go now.
Volkswagen was the most basic car, really, when you think about it.
Yeah.
And it makes you sort of wonder, how they could sort of, build like an alien spaceship.
True.
But they built stuff that was.
But wasn't there a thing? Wasn't the Japan? We're getting into all this stuff, but didn't the Japanese also try and build like a death ray or something?
Yes,
Did you hear about that too?
yeah.
So like the
Was
Germans.
Star Wars?
Yeah,
inspired
it was
them
like
to do it?
like some sort of, I don't know what it was. It was like some sort of ray that had ultrasound or had some sort of thing that would shoot out something and it would just kill everything in its path. Now they didn't. It wasn't successful, obviously.
But aren't they building this now? Not the Japanese, the Americans. Aren't they?
Are they? I don't know. I haven't heard of
Well,
this.
no, they got laser guns in space now.
Well, that was like a Reagan thing, wasn't it? That was
got satellites with lasers. You can just.
do they have that though? I don't think that. I don't think they actually have lasers.
Yeah, they
in
got one
space.
up there now. They just launched it.
Really?
They're aiming at Devon's house at the moment
Yeah.
just to test it out.
Giant,
God.
like an ion cannon at Devon's house.
It was funny that you were saying the alien spaceship was in Austria because that's where actually a lot of my family originated from as well.
See,
So
There's even more links.
let's face
maybe
it.
I'm the missing link. Maybe I'm the missing link
If
between.
so one of us here was an alien, it would be Devon.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be.
Well, he looks like an alien as well.
I gotta say, I love watching weird conspiracy documentaries about shit Nazis did, though. What else in this documentary did they? I mean, like, because it was very, like, even all their belief systems, Hitler was a very superstitious, conspiracy-driven guy. I mean, he believed in all sorts of stuff, didn't he?
But
I mean,
see,
they were
also,
trying to find, like, biblical artifacts that they thought had secret powers and stuff. They had all sorts of strange things going
Wait,
on.
is that the Indiana Jones tie-in? The
Like Hitler, he sort of is like a big believer in like the Germanic tribe kind of thing. So Germanic
As an ethnicity kind of thing.
Yeah, so usually the Germans, the Austrians, the Dutch, all that kind of stuff. They're all sort of from almost like a Germanic tribe. But I remember reading once that he was wanting to sort of bring back a lot of animals like from the Ice Age back to life, more or less like as hunting things,
Right.
like for sport and things. Like he wanted to bring back like
The woolly mammoth.
the woolly
T-Rex.
mammoth, and like
Yeah.
a lot of the animals were probably twice the size back in the Ice Age. So like, it could be like deers and antelopes that could have been that stood maybe 3 or 4 meters tall. He wanted to do all these sort of unusual things.
It's kind of weird, the woolly mammoth thing, because you think, you create a woolly mammoth, you would spend billions doing it, and then you're like, well, what do we do now? What do we do with it?
They're trying to build one.
I know they are, yeah, I've heard of this.
build
'cause
one.
they've-
How do you build a fucking mammoth?
Well, it's
Well,
actually,
you use an elephant.
yeah.
And then you get. I don't know how you get an elephant
So
to have
I
sex.
can explain it a little bit, but it's not a million miles away from the kind of Jurassic Park thing in the way that what they've done is that because woolly mammoths existed in cold environments, they've found a lot of very intact parts of woolly mammoths that have been frozen and preserved in really good ways. So what they really needed to do is extract some genuine DNA from them and then use an elephant's DNA to make up whatever was missing and then create it.
See, one of the problems they do have though is because let's just say if they were to get find to say mammoth semen, for example, like which type
Tom,
of,
could you get out there and get some mammoth semen for me? We're going to do this.
no, basically,
Is that what a woolly mammoth does when they have sex?
I have no idea, but it'd be a lot. It sounds like trumpets, I imagine.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
Honestly, once again, I love to go on his computer. I just.
But
The first, recommended videos, mammoth semen.
yeah, but the thing is, they would really need to try. I think then the difficult part for them is to try and decide which type of elephant to put it in.
Right.
Because the thing is, they're saying, like, for example, with the
What do you mean? What elephant?
Because you've got two types of elephants. Like you've got the Asian elephant.
He knows what he's talking about.
And then you've got the African elephant. Now, so the African elephant is actually bigger and has much more sort of like a big cranial region, but has large ears, for example, whilst the Asian elephant is sort of somewhat smaller and has small ears. Now, the mammoth itself was actually sort of a mixture of the two, where it was actually quite a large animal.
I'm interested. I'm actually interested.
Large animal, large sort of cranium area, but had very small ears, because obviously in a cold climate you want to have small ears because otherwise they do sort of deteriorate because of
It's a bit sweaty, isn't it, behind the ear?
frostbite and things like that. So,
Right.
so that's where they're sort of a bit, what do you do? Do you sort of use like an African elephant to use for the pure size, but then because of something where, the ears need to be small due to the climatic regions of where mammoths live, do you use the Asian elephant? So
Or could you just build a massive fleece? and just wrap it, make a little woolly hat, and then you can have an Asian elephant.
And just to check, Devin, are you in charge of the Mammoth program? Because fuck me, you should be.
How does he know all this?
Yeah, well, Devin's very knowledgeable.
Everything's
man.
on the internet.
As an alien, Devin knows a lot about a lot of things.
Wikipedia wins again.
Yes.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Yeah,
You kind of are a human Wikipedia, though, aren't you?
I
Like
am.
you actually are. You don't have
You cover
all the
a
info,
lot.
but
Yeah.
you have the top paragraph of Wikipedia entries.
what?
You're that.
You know what? I'm just going to throw a question out and just see if he can answer it.
Okay.
Okay. So
a lot of tension here, Devin.
I know it's like one of those $1 million questions.
It is a
isn't
big deal.
Oh,
You might win $1 million if you answer it.
okay. How does a great white kill?
I don't know. Doesn't it just? Yeah, it will bite it, obviously, but doesn't it sort of bite it? But almost hopes that it bleeds to death, and then goes in for it.
So can I have a try at that? So a great white, doesn't it just eat injured prey most of the time? Am I right on that?
Sometimes.
So I figure like a lot of the time it goes for the water surface or something like that, and it sees a seal paddling around, and it always picks the weakest one. So it doesn't ever fight for the strongest of like I don't know what the hell you call a school of seals, but it always goes for the weak one, and then it just eats it. But it just surely it
sometimes.
crushes it, and then
Actually, the great white is one of the fastest, maybe the fastest, I'm not sure, of all sharks. It goes around about 25 miles per hour.
right.
So what they do a lot of the time is if there's a seal, they'll come up and smash it. And a lot of the time
Break bones
they will
and-
break the spine and then they'll eat it.
So it's almost like a car hitting something.
I've seen those
right.
where the shark jumps out and the seal's like flung. So is that the sort of action? Yeah.
So when you see that's why a shark can fly out the water, and you see in the documentaries,
Right.
Because it's traveling so fast, it just goes bang. Because they've actually got the same. A Rottweiler has got a stronger jaw
Right.
per size density than a great white. It's actually got a stronger jaw. A great white's jaw isn't that strong.
Oh, interesting. I know that the biting power is impressive, but I didn't know it was all, like the velocity of what it hits is actually
like
what
a
does
car.
the damage. But then I suppose you hear people, people talk about shark stories and getting eaten by sharks. They always say that like it's really fascinating. Like you imagine it's terrifying, but they always say for the first few, I guess, 20 seconds that they're getting hit by a shark and eaten, they don't even realize what's happening. Do you know what I mean? They always their stories are always told in a way where I kind of just came ashore and then realized my leg was missing.
No, it's
Like-
that's the adrenaline. No,
Yeah.
not adrenaline.
It's
That's also
fascinating.
your body's probably shocked. Like messages wouldn't be going like, oh shit, now
That's
I'm in
it.
trouble. I don't know.
It's fascinating. Like they never actually feel what the sheer amount of pain they're going through.
Yeah.
It's always later when they go, "Holy shit, this is big." I've got this written down where like unfortunately every kind of form of alien life that our imagination, I mean, this is why I don't believe the conspiracy theories of aliens very much, is because every time you see one of these things, they look like a tiny person. Basically.
Well,
So-
you.
Yeah, me, exactly. And I recognize myself and go, well, that's bullshit. That's just me. So it can't be. It can't be an alien.
Yeah, because the way I look
you
at it
might
is
be an alien.
I don't think I am. I'm pretty sure I'm Irish. I'm not an alien. You know.
like if an alien looks like a human.
Yeah.
To me, it has to really have come from an environment that's much like a human for it to have evolved and developed
Totally.
in such a way. I mean, I would picture maybe an alien to be more like something maybe like a virus or something like that. Because you imagine because all the planets were all sort of, started to develop at different stages. So, it can be, someone could come across a planet where you look and go, oh, that's just empty. It's just a barren wasteland or whatever.
Yeah.
But there could be like a tiny little virus that could be
Sounds like Alien Covenant.
Yeah, like an alien. Yeah, like
Well,
Alien
he's pretty
Covenant,
much
but-
describing Alien Covenant, but
Yeah.
you're right. I mean, there's definitely something about that is that like all these guys and girls that claim they've been abducted and all this kind of stuff. I mean, they're always abducted by like little people.
What's
really?
What's with the whole South Park thing with like abduction and anal probes? Why the fuck? Was that a?
I think South Park came up with that wholly on their own. I think, but you're right. There is a connection now.
Why do they
between
want to
anal
probe the shit out of us and defile us?
Because it's the easiest way to go in.
I've actually got it written down now. I wonder how long it'll take for someone to mention anal probe in this episode, and it only
did.
took 15 minutes.
I did. I had to. It was South Park.
And you win a prize, Tom. I don't know what that
Of
prize is.
nothing.
It's an anal probe is the prize.
Tonight it's going to happen.
What's the point of an anal probe?
I couldn't agree more. What the fuck? I mean, if you're going to travel 1,000,000 light years to come here and put an anal probe in Tom, You need to really think about why you're doing that. It's just not a good way to study something.
Yeah.
Because there's so many holes in the body. I mean, there's the nose, there's the mouth, there's the ear canals. There's so many other holes,
Can you tell us all these holes?
The wisdom
you
of
possessed?
the wisdom of Devon. There's so many holes.
I think Tom's just talking about his Tinder experience. He's not talking about aliens or anything like that.
Three holes.
Legitimate question, though. I mean, I spent last night, looking up alien conspiracy theories, and that shit is a rabbit hole. I mean, you just start looking up stuff, and man, within half an hour, you're looking at like this thing, and then this thing, and then this guy says this, and then there's this event that took place in the 60s, and there's all sorts of stuff going on. My question was kind of like, does anyone here legitimately kind of have that? Have they been here? I think they have. Does anyone think that?
I saw a UFO about 10 years ago.
Really?
Please tell me.
Yeah. No, I'm dead serious.
Was it when you came out the strippers and you were just like on that whole new level of like high?
Pleasure.
No, I came to Earth like on a little egg, like from Mork and Mindy,
I
Like
could actually see that.
I could.
It coming out of an egg. A big fucking egg. And he comes out and he's just like wearing the same clothes with the glasses and the hair, and he's like, oh, hello.
I just come out like Mork from Mork, I think he was, Robin Williams'
Mork
character.
from Mork, that's
Mork
right.
from Mork, and he goes, no. See, if they did a reboot of Mork and Mindy, that's something I wouldn't like to see.
Yeah, but you think about that show. So Robin Williams, in many ways, he was an alien. I mean, the way the guy thought, he was so different.
No one could nail it, because with that show, when he's with Pam, because Pam Dorber was his the
lady.
The lady on the show.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but a lot of that was just pure, it was just impulsive stuff that he was doing. There was,
completely.
He wasn't even following
But
the script.
it came across like that. Like, I mean, we all know Robin Williams. The guy was so on all the time. He was just a ball of consistently moving energy. I remember seeing him interviewed, and it was almost hard to watch because he just kept
Because he
moving.
He took control. Yeah.
He just was like this. He just could not stop being a comedian.
But
and they just, I'm sure he just walked on set. They're like, just go. My thought is that they must have looked at him and thought, we have to create a show around him. How are we going to do that?
Yeah.
Let's make him an alien. That works.
Yeah.
I mean, it must have been created around him, because there's no way you would have made that up front and then found him separately.
And then they stick him in Boulder, Colorado, which I think where the show
is. That where the show is?
Was actually based, yeah.
Yeah, right.
Oh, I know a little bit about the show.
I was
he's really into it.
I was just thinking, imagine like if Trump or our government devs a bit nuts. Imagine if one of them just came out one day on the news and just say, I don't want to talk about anything to do with Australia, education, public transport, anything that's wrong, home loans. Let's talk about the fact that I'm thinking about what's going to happen like with aliens and stuff.
I've looked up a few of these. Have you heard of this thing where like, and this shows you how kind of silly it all is, but they found that 6-inch alien Atta, it's called. Have you guys seen this? So it's kind of a famous one. I've got a picture of it or something here. It's kind of a...
Of course he does.
Of course I have a picture.
Oh, he's got lots of tabs open.
It's like, got a few internet tabs open.
What the fuck is that?
Exactly, yeah. So the people from the internet are going to obviously know what this is. It's a skeleton that they found in a Chilean, like an abandoned Chilean town.
Can you click on the image?
Yeah, can you? So the idea is that this thing was found. I think it was found in like 2003, and then when the newspapers got a hold of it, there was a huge big claim around this that this was an alien. And to be honest, the actual body of it too. I can see why everyone got terribly carried away with it. There was even a real big alien, like a big popular alien conspiracist made a big feature length documentary about the fact, this is an alien and this is where it's linked to and all that. And then they did a DNA test on the damn thing, and the fucking thing is human. The dating of the body, this kind of tiny body, is within the last 100 years, but it's essentially, I think it's a kind of unfortunately deformed individual that was born and it died, and then it was preserved in some way, and then they just found it. But the thing is, the amount of hype and conspiratorial madness that surrounded this being an alien was ridiculous until it was completely debunked.
People think Bigfoot is alive.
I know.
People think Loch Ness Monster is alive.
I was going to bring up Loch Ness.
People think, fucking Hitler's alive. Like, don't listen to any of the bullshit. That looks like a human.
I like to think it's real, but I know it's probably not.
Yeah.
So
Like
I
Elephant Man.
fantasize about it.
Elephant Man. If we dug Elephant Man up now,
Yeah.
we'd be like, oh, it's an alien. If we didn't know who...
exactly. That's actually what I was going to
And
say.
that's just
Yeah,
a
Very, very good point.
because with the elephant man, I mean, if you sort of because he would have probably had quite a distorted looking skull and things like
Absolutely.
that too. So you imagine, if a person, was to dig him up, hundreds of years from now, and they look and go, oh, geez, what's that? What's that sort of big deformed skull? Did people back then have huge, heads and different sort of like loose skin on the face or something like that? You'd sort of be going, okay, well,
Alien.
Oh yeah, he had a face like a ball bag, loose skin.
well, hence why he's called the Elephant Man. That's why, because
Well, they didn't call him the ball bag, did they? No, I mean, it's a good point. I mean, it's amazing what jumping to a conclusion that this area does. I mean, the amount of conclusions people jump to is impressive. It's like the do you remember the photographs they took of the fairies? Do you remember that story?
Yes.
I mean, it's I forget what you call them now.
Is that one from like black and when all the photos were in black and white from like
Cottingley fairies?
Yeah.
Right. So you know the story of this one?
Just a refresher.
So like back in like very early 20th century, I think it's like 1901, 2, something like that. Two cousins were living in the UK. Two girls, I think they were like 15 or in their teens, and their mother would see them go out the back of their garden and play in this river in the back, and they'd always come up and they'd be wet, and then she would be annoyed that they were playing in the river, and she'd say, "What are you doing down there?" And then the girls said, "Oh, we're playing with fairies and all sorts of stuff." And then they thought it was make-believe, and then I think their dad or a member of the family was a photographer, so then it was very new technology at the time. The girls took a camera down with them when they played, and then came back and they developed the pictures, and these were these very famous 4 or 5 pictures where they had fairies in their hands, and it looked during the time it was very impressive. It looked really legitimate, and then of course the papers got a hold of this. I think they published them in a few newspapers, and then it became a huge myth that they actually found fairies for real, and this actually kept going until like the 80s or something, and then they finally confessed. Like, I don't know how many years later, I think they were well older, like in their 60s or their 70s, these cousins, and they actually confessed that, that it was completely faked, that they just cut these things out of magazines or drew them based on other pictures, and then put them on their hands and made it look like it was real. And then one of them even said, I think it ruined their life because, their whole life kind of was summed up by a fake lie. Even to this day, people claim those things are bloody real.
The people think we didn't land on the moon.
But it's funny.
Yeah, no.
I've got evidence that they built a set.
Well, Stanley Kubrick directed the moon landing. Isn't that the story? Yeah, that's
really?
the idea. Yeah.
But then the funny thing is too, I think even in some cultures, I think it might even be Scandinavian culture where they believe that like gnomes are real as well. Like some people,
like the big thing there.
Yeah, because I think how like some a lot of people talk about they have a guardian angel, for example. Some people sort of believe, like in I think some Scandinavian, I think it could even be like near Norway and places like that, where people sort of believe that they've got like almost like a gnome who watches out for them, kind of thing. And I remember watching a show. It was like a documentary where one woman, she said I think she was suffering from cancer. She was on her deathbed. She was nearly dying, but she believed she was actually visited by like her, almost like her guardian gnome.
Right,
kind of thing, and and then she got better. Never sort of saw it again. But there's people and that makes you sort of wonder too, where things like just say garden gnomes and fairies and all that other kind of stuff. Sometimes makes you wonder where was there sort of something that maybe someone has come across that made them want to sort of make these statues of gnomes and things like that too. It's hard to know as well. So,
but when you take acid, you do see things, Devon.
You do too.
And maybe you have to
these
question.
Things do happen.
But then there's been some things that have been proven. Like I think even in American culture, there's a thing called a jackalope.
Right.
I don't know if you've ever heard of what a jackalope is.
I've never heard of a jackalope.
So it's basically meant to be like a...
So where is this based, sorry?
In the States.
In the States, right.
Yeah, so I think Americans, like you even will sort of see it on, sometimes people will have like a stuffed one. It's basically like a jackrabbit.
Right.
But it's got like antelope horns. So sometimes you'll sort of see like roadside museum things that people have, and you'll have like a stuffed jackrabbit with the little antlers. So some people sort of thought, it must be sort of some sort of weird hybrid thing. But
right.
Then some people looked into it and they believe that some of those rabbits had almost like a cancerous type growth on their head, which was like almost like calcifying.
Right.
And that is actually what was making these sort of like horn-like protrusions on their head.
In their head.
So that was sort of one of those things that some people have sort of
taken and then
believe and proven, because people probably would, have probably seen these rabbits, jumping around in the fields.
Yeah, right.
With these little horn-like structures, but then some people have just, taken it that bit far and have literally, put like antelope horns on just to sort of go, oh, look what I found.
Well, they actually put it on the rabbit.
Yeah.
I think...
How do you keep it on?
rabbits.
It was glued on, but
Well, what you do is you
usually...
give the rabbit a really strong sedative. Is not the first part.
You take him down the pub.
That's
and you're
right.
Like, okay.
All right, rabbit.
You want another drink? Yeah.
All right.
Now we're just going to put this on your head.
Here's some gin. Take some gin.
I'll see if I can...
Gin always works.
I mean, what kind of mental case puts fucking horns on a rabbit? Like,
Do you know
what spare time do you have?
You say this. I looked it up earlier. You know, you remember they did that alien autopsy video in the 90s? Do you remember that famous one that came out? Do you ever see it? It's a black and white one. I think I got a picture of it here.
I just had a thought. I mean, I think Tom Cruise, the whole Scientology thing, isn't that about Scientology about aliens? Like
Absolutely.
coming...
Yeah.
Creating that religion or creating Earth or something?
Well, no,
I don't know how the basics of it
It's
works,
quite
but-
interesting because you join the religion and then they go, no, it's pretty normal. It's a pretty bog standard religion. We really just want to make you a healthier, better, higher level person. And then after spending like a couple of $1 million and getting up to like, I don't know, whatever it is, O2C or OT level fucking 10 or whatever the fuck it is.
And it's cult-like.
And then they go, okay, just to let you know, by the way, we actually all originated from a planet, and we were taken, and then they brought us all the way here to Earth, and then they threw us all into a volcano, and then detonated an atomic bomb to try and kill us, or something like that. And then you're like, oh shit, this is bullshit. Oh my god, what have I spent all my money on?
What about the Big Bang? How did that feature into everything?
I don't know.
You
know, you would never put it past Hubbard to figure out a way to co-opt actual science into whatever the fuck he made up.
You've been tested.
I did actually do an e-meter test out of fun. Yeah,
there was one Scientology thing on South Bank once.
Right.
There's like a
they're right there. Yeah,
it's just
they do it quite a lot.
This stupid little trick they make you try and do.
So you have an e-meter, and then they get you to hold. It's basically like a lie detector test. Essentially, it's based on a lie detector machine, an old-fashioned one. You hold these two like metal canisters, and then they ask you a series of questions, and then based on your brain and your sweat and all sorts of stuff, if they say, Matt, have you been through a significant struggle in the past, 30 years of your life? Can you think back to that? And then if your needle goes up, but then they say, well, we can help cure you of this ill. And so it's all it's basically therapy, but an extremely archaic form of therapy. And then that's how you're sold on it, isn't it? Because let's face it, the basic idea of giving you a little bit of therapy actually is a nice thing. And then you're in. And then all sorts of crazy stuff happens after that.
Did you go in?
No, it does. But there we go. But you're all right. There is a lot of aliens. When you get a bit higher, though, then you go, oh, shit, aliens.
Now, Tom Cruise would be a perfect alien, wouldn't he? He's extreme, but
Yeah.
also he can put on a show, like, just behind closed doors.
He's little.
Well, actually, yeah. And rarely you see a guy that has so much talent and actually, but yet has a belief structure that is utterly bizarre.
Maybe he's programmed by an alien or something.
Oh, no, I don't want to...
Just subliminally.
Honestly, I don't even want to give them the benefit of even being partially true. I just think, honestly, he's surrounded by so many yes people, the way famous people are, that they'll let you get away with everything. Like, if you said the moon was your house, you'd be like, yeah, Tom, yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah.
I'm with you on that. It's like, fuck, well, all right, whatever you think. But you guys have seen, like, this alien autopsy video is quite a famous kind of debunk thing. But there's a British guy, he made a 20-minute autopsy video that was like this. It's very authentic looking. I mean, if you watch it, it's a bit chilling. It's quite you would watch it in the 90s and you would think, damn, that looks real. That looks like they really got an alien chopping up. And he claimed that he got this alien off, or this videotape off someone that was part of the government and part of all the conspiracy around Roswell and all that kind of stuff. Released the video, and I think he sold the video to like so many countries and territories. I'm sure they made a bit of money off that. And then it's only in 2006 he came out and said it was all crap.
He built it.
He built it. The whole thing, which is fascinating. It just, if you see something and it looks real to you, do not be surprised if it's not, because people and the resources they will use to try and fool you is infinitely
So he
there.
became rich.
Well, I don't know. I'm guessing this, but the actual story is a bit of an interesting one. It's a 17-minute black and white film released in 1995 depicting a medical examination. It was released by a London-based entrepreneur. It's supposed to be an authentic autopsy, blah, blah, blah. Let me see. And then he was a retired. He said he got it from a retired military cameraman who wished to remain anonymous.
See, the thing is, it's black and white. Why is it black and white?
Well, because let's face it, if you're going to release a video,
back
yeah,
in the
exactly.
1920s, it wasn't around.
Well, yeah,
was it?
because Roswell
was.
would have been 1947. So there's an awful. I mean, if you're going to make a video, if you use a digital camera to show what happened in 1947, people are going to think you're full of shit. So obviously,
so he made it look like it was.
yeah,
from
of course
old
he
days.
did. Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was a film in '95.
Well, he made it in '95, or
It
he
wasn't
made it
set
around
in
there, but it
95.
was it was a fake movie made in the '90s that was supposed to be, or faked to look like it was from 1947, 48.
Who here believes in aliens? Tom.
Yeah, well,
I mean, be honest. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it.
I will not hold judgment.
I'd like to believe
Until you
that.
leave the
Well,
room.
but the thing is, are they? If there are they hostile or friendly?
I mean, look, it's quite
and
reasonable
that's
to
what-
believe in aliens, though, isn't
And
it?
I think I get a lot of that from movies, but also I like to believe in it. Like in the weird sightings that go on, can be photographed and faked.
But
and
would you
stuff,
believe
but
they visited Earth?
maybe during the dinosaurs?
Bringing on the dinosaurs.
Maybe when the dinosaurs were here, because they didn't have digital cameras.
I do love that. That's such a way to
I
get
love
out of
the
it.
way he's just like,
Yeah, during the dinosaurs.
dinosaur era.
Why dinosaurs? I mean, why would you
It's always
visit during them?
dinosaurs. It's always dinosaurs.
I know.
Isn't it?
But they're just in this little pocket of the galaxy, and they're just
But see, what
chilling.
I reckon is, I wouldn't be surprised if there is sort of something out there, only purely for this fact that there's worlds within worlds, for example. So, you know,
Right.
like even though we're living, you know, we've got our world, but on our skin and everything, there's the microscopic world.
Very
You know
well
what I mean?
put.
So there's like a world within a world. Then when you look at, for example, might sound stupid, but for example, you look at like planet Earth. Planet Earth literally could be like a speck of dust floating around, let's just say, in a giant cupboard. For example, the universe that we see could be just someone like maybe
Yeah.
a really giant person's cupboard, for example. You know,
Imagine that.
you know,
Mate,
something
you're just
like that.
you're just in a cupboard.
You know what I mean?
In a
That's-
giant's cupboard.
I'm just worried that there's a world inside of a world inside of Devon.
I
It's a
know.
fucking scary world.
Yeah.
I don't want to be.
That's like hell.
I've already seen his
There's
garage.
fire in there, isn't it?
Head opens up, a little thing just
Yeah.
jumps out. Whoa.
Yeah, I know, but you've got a really good point. I remember reading a Michael Crichton book, and he was saying something similar in that everybody's looking for the equivalent to us all the time, but you have to open up your brain and go, well, you're not looking for that at all. It could be literally, there could be a speck, like an infinitesimal speck, like a tiny, tiny little thing just floating in space, and that in itself could be some sort of really bizarre microcosm galaxy full of different things.
Yeah.
And all it takes is a fucking big fat spaceship to go by and just kill it all. But that's kind of it's a fascinating thought, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's very thought-provoking stuff. But in the humanoid sense, it's kind of like we're always looking for ourselves, and that's why I kind of find all those conspiracy theories around aliens a bit easy to debunk, because all you're really looking at is kind of a reflection of us in these things.
Well, they look like humans.
Yeah,
Why
exactly.
do they have to look like us?
That's like
Yeah,
the
I mean,
whole-
they wouldn't look like us, would
that's
they?
like the. Well, he did that with Prometheus and Alien Covenant. That the engineers looked like us.
They look
We-
too like us.
You know, like is that what your interpretation
It's
is?
just
of,
basically like
alien life?
it's a big gymmed version of us.
But the microbial
Yeah.
thing is all that Prometheus, the whole goo and the bacteria and the spores and all of that. Like
I remember talking to you about this before, though. Remember they had some very bizarre. There was a newspaper article that had bizarre evidence that they found life on another planet, and it was crabs.
Yes.
Which I thought was hilarious. Could you imagine flying 1,000,000 miles to see life, and then you get there and it's just a bunch of crabs?
But imagine
You know?
they were like skyscraper tall sort of thing. That'd be like, whoa, look at the size of these bastards.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing. You have
depending
to
on
open
the
your mind a
size.
bit about this, because they're not going to. If it's going to be a legitimate alien, it's not going to look like us. I mean, they might breathe mercury or
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
You know, I mean, who says they're going to breathe fucking oxygen?
Exactly.
Which is kind of a bit mind blowing. But I think we always expect these fucking aliens and all these pictures we see. They're always walking around on Earth and just walking around like they're just going to have a barbecue.
It's
And
our
it's-
imagination.
did you see this one, Tom? This the Phoenix Lights kind of thing.
No.
It's kind of like one of those like a really crazy events that took place, and it was about lights in the sky, and all these kind of witnesses came out saying that they'd seen aliens and stuff. But the interesting thing about this one is that it took place on March 13th, 1997. So we're not talking about like something that's years ago. You're talking about something relatively modern. And then the idea is that lights of varying descriptions were reported by thousands of people between 7:30 and 10:30 at night in a space of about 300 miles And there are allegedly 2 distinct events that involved in the incident, and they had a triangular formation of lights, and they could be seen over the whole state. And a lot of people were talking about how this is all aliens, but the newspapers and the hype and the way everybody lost their minds over this was full on. And then
it's just a big kite.
It's always funny though. Whenever there is something weird, it's always taken with the worst quality film or camera or whatever. It's always the way. Like someone will find something that they think it's Bigfoot, and it's the worst photo you can ever imagine.
I think it's very sensible to think that in a different world, in an Earth-like environment or a non-Earth-like environment, there is the possibility that either bacteria will exist, obviously, or like a form of animal or a form of alien will exist. It could be quite. I mean, let's think about it. Like I think one interesting thing is that if aliens did come here, and they were traveling, let's face it, millions upon millions of miles to get here. If you really think about that hard, we can barely get to the moon without killing someone. I mean, that's what we're like now, and we're relatively advanced in our own eyes, but we can't even get to we can't even get to Mars yet. I mean, we're going to go, but we do not. If you wanted to send someone to Mars tomorrow, we couldn't do that. That's how prosaic we are. We just don't have that. No. So.
Well, the Chinese are only trying to get someone on Mars now.
Well, that's it. The North Koreans can't even launch a fucking rocket without fucking blowing it up. I mean, we just don't. We're not very advanced. If you've an alien civilization that has the technology to live within their lifetime and actually fly the ridiculous distance it takes to get here, why would you even do it if you're just going to hide in the shadows and just kind of pamper around and abduct the odd person who's in a regional town and abduct them at night, when they're asleep? I mean, it's just ridiculous. If you had the technology to do that incredible feat, you would do it for a good reason.
But I suppose where my imagination comes is you don't know the motivation of the alien if they exist. Like, you don't know what their methods are and what they want to achieve by coming here.
Yeah,
hide
true.
in the shadow or kill us all.
But I just think logically, if you have the technology to fly that far, and God knows have access to how many different forms of travel throughout the entire universe, we would relatively not be very interesting to them because we're pretty primitive compared to that. So if you came here and you looked at us, you'd be like, well, fuck that. I'm not fucking talking to them. It's kind of like God talking to a man. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, as in, what the hell would God have any interest in talking to me for? Because, if he's God, he knows everything.
You know what? Knowing the way the world is, could you imagine an alien comes and visit Earth? Visit Earth.
I am the thing from Uranus.
Yeah.
And he goes straight into Brunswick and bumps into a hipster.
Yeah.
And then he goes, oh, fuck this, I'm going.
Do you want to laugh?
Yeah, no.
That's what's going to happen.
I know.
It's going to meet some bloke with a beard, with tattoos.
Yeah.
With a bloody, little hat on.
A little hat on.
And he's just going off to vote for the Green Party. And that's
Imagine he walks into the cafe and orders a soy latte, and you're like, okay, man, yeah, sure. Do you have any money? Nope. It speaks our language.
Imagine that, it travels billions and billions of miles.
Yeah, exactly.
And they end up in a hipster
to meet
cafe.
a hipster.
Yeah, I mean, imagine coming here and realizing that if you wanted to make contact with the leader of the free world, you would be talking to some fucking, blonde-headed, balding orange. I mean, give me a break. I mean, you wouldn't even bother coming here and spending all the time it would take to get here.
I can see that Trump and the little green alien is like, yep, this is real. Twitter it.
He's negotiating the the trans galaxy partnership with them or some shit.
He's going to help us build a wall. We can do it.
I'm going to build a wall.
We can do it in a day.
Yeah, exactly. It's yeah. I just that's where it loses me a bit, is that when you see the photographs, when you see all these things, you look at the bigger picture and you think, why would they even bother sneaking around like this? If they have this kind of technology, what would even be the point? And the thing about Roswell as well is fascinating, is that Roswell came out, and then there was a lot of newspaper articles. Roswell's a tiny place. There's nothing there. But yet, so if something big happens in a small town, what happens? Fucking everybody knows about it. So that's the funny thing. Like, if something happened in my hometown in Ireland, it would be the biggest thing ever, because there's not many people around, and it's boring as fuck. So if a flying saucer lands,
a cow gets
my god.
Bob the cow went missing.
Yeah. Oh, shit.
Last week.
Yeah. Bob's gone. It must be aliens.
The only thing they found was a probe and an anus. Meet a freak, stupid of the week. Is that a good jingle?
That was lovely.
Oh, awesome.
And a lovely voice of an angel you have.
No,
You're like a...
it's Beauty and the Beast. I've been
Australian
singing
Idol.
every day I've been walking down the street. I'm going to get the tram today.
You're like a sort of a male Susan Boyle.
Physically, not orally. Yeah.
Honestly, it's a thin fucking line.
All right, Matt. Stupid of the week it is.
Okay, we're going to China.
We're going to China. Everyone, we're going to China. Strap in. What's happening, Matt? What's going on in China?
What do you think some Chinese people do for constipation?
Prune juice.
No.
Okay.
It's a folk remedy.
Is that like where you listen to folk music?
It could help you.
And then you just listen to folk music and start shitting everywhere.
It could help the trauma.
Yeah.
Devon, I'm waiting for you. I know you're going to get
I'm
it.
trying to think because I know with the Asian community they like things like like tiger penis soup because that sort of makes you real sort of
Well, it gives you virility.
virility and
Yeah.
so I'm trying to think of something maybe animal related that kind of gives you the shits.
Ooh,
Is he on to
that's-
You
something?
know what?
That's what I'm sort of thinking.
He's knocking on the door of
knocking on the door.
craziness.
But I'm just trying to think what kind of animal, or if you were to eat an animal,
Snake blood?
what would give you the shits?
So, according to folklore, apparently, if you're suffering with constipation, you put an eel up your bumhole to get rid of it.
Wow.
So, a man, now this is straight out of fucking Alien, put a 50 centimeter live eel up his anus.
Right.
You're getting the picture, aren't you, Devin?
Yeah, I'm getting it.
Right? And once it was in there, started eating through his intestines.
No.
And I've got it written down.
Right.
Oh yeah, swimming around in his midsection pocket.
Oh, his midsection
Now,
pocket.
The thing that made me laugh on
Right.
the train was that he went to the doctor, or he went to the hospital, but he didn't tell them what he'd done.
Okay.
So he went to the hospital and he said, I've got stomach pain.
I ate something I shouldn't have ate.
And they opened him, they did an x-ray and they found a
No.
live eel, still live. And apparently it's been going on for
A long
generations.
Time. A long time.
Gosh.
And that's why
Wow.
people in the olden days just died because they do fucking stupid things like this.
So here's my question. The first person that ever did that,
Yeah.
that's always where I like to go in these situations. How did they come up with the initial idea to stick an eel up their ass?
Well,
Tom is
Well,
physically
he's straight in there.
Tom is physically nauseous after that.
Okay, Tom, if you're in this situation, how would you get an eel up your bumhole? Like, what would you have to do?
I wouldn't consider it.
Matt, you ask the fucking most
Well, that's what.
confronting question. Like Matt is like, no, why or how did this happen? Matt's like, Devin, if you stuck an eel up your ass,
you would have to be relaxed, wouldn't you? There'd have to be a certain level of
how relaxed-
Malleable.
yeah.
Sort of.
malleable.
But how relaxed can you be if you've got a bumhole full of poo?
yeah.
You can't be that relaxed.
So
Jesus, man.
It would be a
And it's 50 centimeters, so it's like that.
Okay,
that's a
I
big
remember-
eel.
That's a big eel.
I
Yeah.
remember a school ruler in my parents' case used to be about that big, so it's about that big.
Yeah,
yeah.
No way.
yeah. There's a video. There's
No,
video.
I ain't fucking looking at it.
There's a video.
So Matt, I don't
Thank you, Matt.
need a video.
they take.
I
it
don't
out.
want to see it.
I have
they
an
take it out.
imagination. I don't need to see that.
Can you imagine if you sneezed and you're on the
Did
tram?
you watch a video about this?
No, because I was on public transport.
That's probably a good idea.
But there's a screenshot.
Let me have a look.
There's a screenshot,
Just for the
ladies and gentlemen. He's looking at the screenshot of the
just
eel.
for the benefit of listeners. I am actually looking
Yeah,
at the picture of
So
this.
it looks like a snake, a very long snake.
I'm
Would
not
you
gonna
agree
lie,
with that?
it is very, very long, and it's about the length of a man's arm basically, and it's about as thick as it's almost as thick as a toilet roll holder.
It's almost the same size as you. Let's
It
be
is,
honest.
it is, yeah.
It's like putting Gary up your bum.
On the bright side, his constipation problem was resolved after the animal ripped through his intestines. Oh my god. That is fun. Instead of laxatives,
Munchies.
instead.
Hey, Matt, I'm not coming here again.
I told you it was a good one. I told you.
Do you know, I'll actually think about how disgusting that is.
Yeah.
But
Like,
think
the
about it.
remainder-
That is straight out Alien. When you're talking about things coming out your belly.
So he's right. It's a folk remedy.
Yep. See, I don't lie.
But you know what I reckon that is? I reckon that's one
Keep
step
scrolling,
away.
you see his face.
That's one step away from how people often used to put leeches on their skin to help kind of
Yeah, we can get them off.
to kind of clean
Yeah,
the
you're
blood.
not sticking a leech up your ass, are you?
I reckon that's where maybe someone then tried to take it that one step further. Go, if a leech can sort of help with a little cut, maybe an eel can heal with
that's extreme colon cleansing right there.
I do think this must have been like some sort of ancient bachelor party where they're like, right, Mr. Lee, we're going to put
this is a frat party, initiation.
Yeah. No. Do you want to get in the club?
When they asked him, why is there an eel up your backside? He said, it must have got up there by accident. What do you have to do? What situation would you have to be in that an eel climbs up your bum?
So we should also mention that, by the time they did extract the eel, it had died. So I just want to let
the eel died.
So basically, what we're really saying is
Could you imagine if it was alive and the guy died?
I mean, imagine being imagine the eel. I mean, that's a fucking shit way to go, isn't it?
It's just got animal cruelty.
It is really. We should call PETA about this, shouldn't we?
Yeah. Poor little eel. Imagine that's the last thing you see. A big tunnel of poo.
It says that sadly this is not the only case of eels inside rectums. In 2013, a similarly sized swamp eel was removed from a man's abdomen after it was inserted for recreational purposes.
Yeah, he was horny.
Which is really, you gotta love that term, recreational purposes, because how many bizarre shit has been explained by that term.
It's like if Richard Gere can stick a gerbil up his bum, why not an eel?
Is this real, or are you just making this up?
Why did we go to Richard Gere? I want to know.
I
haven't heard of this.
There's often been that rumour that he did something with like a gerbil.
Seriously?
Yeah, there's often been that rumour over the years.
Yeah, here we go.
Alright folks, thank you for listening to the latest episode of Smegcast. Now don't forget, you can go onto our website at smegcast.com. We've got all our social media links on there, so if you want to shoot us an email, let us know if you have a question or a comment. We will try and tackle it on air if you do send one. Otherwise, you can also like us on Facebook, subscribe to us on iTunes, or on Stitcher, or on YouTube. We're like a good virus, we're just spreading all over the internet, but we do actively encourage you that if you do enjoy the show, let us know you're out there. It's a good thing to know. Otherwise, just to let you know, we're going to be recording a next episode at the beginning of June, so you should have a new episode by then. We are doing our best to record 2 on time every month. But if you do subscribe with the wonders of technology, the moment the new episode comes out, you will instantaneously know about it. Otherwise, thank you again for listening, and we shall see you next time.